for about the next 30 minutes, there's going to be a really powerful set of speeches and programming about what the Revenue Project does. So if you just came for the drinks, you're about to find out why you're here. And then you're going to hear, especially from Anna Sugrue and David Simpson, who are the founders of the Revenue Project. And you're also going to get to be able to hear from some of the student volunteers and others who work with the group. And there'll be a part where I ask you for money in a number of different ways. Then you're going to hear an amazing performance from Shamir. But before we get to Anna and David, we actually thought it was important to start out tonight with some voices from the incarcerated folks that Revenue Project serves. So we're going to hear from 5 folks who called in and told us about what this work means to them from prison. And we have those recordings that we're going to start with.
My name is Jessica Linton. There is a huge need for the Revenue Project to assist those of us who are incarcerated. Many individuals have lost their voice in prison and have been brainwashed into thinking we have no rights at all. The Revenue Project has helped show me that I am still a human being and I do in fact have rights that should not be violated while in prison. Thank you, Revenue Project, for supporting me and my rights during my incarceration.
My name is Jane, and I'm currently housed at the school care institution. In a place like this where we're locked in with people who always try to have the last word, and sometimes they throw away our paperwork and they make sure that we don't get our remedy process done accordingly. It's good to have people on the outside that care about us and that helps us to do our work properly. I just want to say that whatever they're doing for us ahead is greatly appreciated, and without them, a lot of us will be lost. You know, we just be lost behind the walls with no help and no voice. I always like to thank them. Knowledge can be passed around from word of mouth. So I heard from somebody and I'm telling somebody, just so you get in contact with them, et cetera, et cetera. It's an excellent program, it's an excellent project, and it needs to continue. Thank you. It needs for me, excellent work. For my BPA, lady named Lucy from Binghamton College, excellent work. Tell her I said thank you.
This is a message from one of our inside members, Quan Andre Winston, who wasn't able to call us. Good afternoon, Ms. Sugrue. I'm sorry to inform you that your contact number has been blocked by the VOP, and I'm unable to call to give my testimonial about how much your organization helped me get needed dental care, prior to which I suffered as my teeth deteriorated for over 5 years. Thank you for your help and having our backs when the world seems to be against us. Again, I'm sorry that the powers that be are working to stifle access to this much needed help. May you have a profound day, and that you and we receive the aid this organization needs to provide some sense of justice for those who are incarcerated and often fighting alone against a system designed to disempower and destroy. In struggle, Quan Winston.
Hey, I'm a lawyer kid, and I go through stuff all the time as my fellow inmates where we get to run around with the staff a lot of times with BPAs and all of these remedies that get us nowhere. But luckily I came across the Remedy Project. They've been more than helpful. You know, they really do care about us. You have a lot of these other groups that are out there not advocating for inmates. They're advocating for everybody else except us when we're the ones that are probably going through more than anybody else, unfortunately, because everybody forgets about us. But the Remedy Project is a godsend, you know, not to exaggerate, but it's a blessing, and I'm grateful. The hope that lies beyond prison walls. What it is, I've been incarcerated here, not this prison decades. Because of the mistakes I've made. Every lawyer I've written to that they stop this act, we can't help me. I'm a Remedy Project student, wasn't even born when I came in. And yet he's giving me young soul that's giving me back home on Sunday days weekend. Remedy Project and its students need the public support. They need to fight us before they prevent so that the incarceration can treat you. Thank you.
And here's David Simpson, the co-founder of the Revenue Project.
Truly appreciate it, but none of the approach really belongs to me. I just suffered something and had a great idea, and it's Anna Sugrue and the students of the Remedy Project that made it all come to life. So they're the real heroes here. Colin, CC, and many of the others that are doing great work. So how did this great work come to be? Well, I was doing my thing, electrician on the street. I had some friends who lived a bad life, let's call it that. Someone asked me to pick up someone at the airport. I did that. Cop said, hey, we need you to snitch or sell out the individuals, my childhood friends. I decided not to, and they promised me that I would not see the outside for a really long time because I refused to do so. So I was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. While there, I met a guy called Wani. He called himself Wani because he had one good eye. The reason is because he had brain cancer. And he was in a really bad state. He was arrested for re-entering the United States of America after being a felon, and so he was to be deported as soon as possible. One night while playing a game, Wani had a seizure that he never experienced before. We saw the fear and the pain in Wani's eyes, and we were scared. And we asked him what's going on. He said he didn't know. We ran to the CEO. We told the CEO what was going on. The CEO said, there's nobody here from medical. Here, we have to deal with it in the morning. The morning time came. I got up. Wani was still in the bed. I said, Wani, what's going on? He hadn't seen anybody. About 10 o'clock that morning, they came and got Wani and took him down to medical. They made him walk and brought him back 15 minutes later. Wani then told me that the doctor said, hey, if you walk down here, whatever was happening to you must be over. You're okay, so there's no issue. You can go on back to the unit. My heart was broken. I simply did what I thought was the right thing, and I helped Wani write a letter to his judge. The judge saw what was written in that letter and decided that what was happening to Wani was wrong, and he forced the prison to do a full medical checkup on Wani. Not long after that, I was sentenced and sent to a camp in Loretto. From there, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I have a squeaky record. I'm being attacked for minor stuff, and now I'm being shipped all the way across the country to Beaumont, Texas. When I get there, I ran into who I now call my mentor, Gary Opala, who taught me and explained to me what was happening. He explained to me that because I did what I did for Wani, I was being targeted by the prison system, by folks in the prison system. It was punishment, right, for sending me all the way there. He taught me how to defend myself, doing the remedies, and I started doing it for myself and others. The remedy process is the only and serious way that anyone can file to have things addressed in prison. If you do not use that process, you are wasting your time. You must use the process. For a judge or any congressperson or anyone to back you up in prison, you must use that process. It is retaliated against, it is hindered, it is suppressed. Folks lose their lives, folks were bused across the country, and all sorts of stuff for that, for using the process. I got really good at it and learned how to get around all the hindrances that they provide because I studied the process and the people and the way that it is done. And because of that, I came out and almost walked away from that skill and ran into Anna and the passionate students at the universities backing up this type of thing. And I decided to pitch the idea to them to see what we can do. And so the Remedy Project idea was born, and then they made it come to life. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sugrue.
David's always a hard act to follow. I've gotten used to it. So like David said, when he got out of prison, he started taking classes at Columbia. I was a junior at Barnard when we met. We met in a class. He was taking classes for folks who were coming out of prison. And I was getting passionate about these issues. I was studying mass incarceration, justice reform, and we met through a class that was related to that. David and I became friends in the class. We would like chop it up and leave in class. And then one day David stopped coming to class. The next day didn't show up, the next class didn't show up. The professor called some folks, asked around, found out that David had been sent back to prison from he'd been living in a halfway house and coming to class. And he'd been sent back to prison for what we found out later was in retaliation for him continuing to do these administrative remedies he was talking about for folks who are still back in Beaumont, Texas, who were still helping out. So this was like a wake-up call for me because I was reading a lot about this stuff, but I had never had a friend in prison. And when I found out that he was inside, we started talking on the phone every week. And in those phone calls, David started to teach me about the administrative remedy process. This is when I learned about it, and he tried to teach me how to use it. And try to use it to help him appeal the unjust process that got him reincarcerated and try to get him back on the street. It was through those phone calls, those weekly phone calls, that we came up with the idea for the Remedy Project, which was to bring together folks like David with the experience and like the intimate understanding and knowledge of how to advocate for people who are in prison, with students like me, like I was at the time, and like so many students now who are in this room, who y'all should meet, they're wearing the buttons, who are passionate, who are anxious and indignant and ready to do something, to fight, but don't have the knowledge that David has. But what they do have is a type of power that comes with being a student, that comes with being connected to an academic institution that David doesn't have. David, until recently, we just got off probation in February. But before that, David would make a joke that all we have to do is like have someone be planted next to him with weed in their pocket, and he could end up back in prison for a long time. And folks like him are really vulnerable still to the violence and the retaliatory reach of the prison system. So Dave and I came up with this idea. Fast forward, I'm like organizing students on campus. I'm getting people hyped about this. We have our first meeting in February of 2020, which we did not know is a horrible time to start organizing. But it didn't stop us. We recruited some excellent people, including Colin, who's right here, who's been here since the start. And we taught David how to use Zoom. We were training people throughout the summer of 2020 and into the fall. And we started corresponding with our first folks in prison in the fall of 2020. And the idea just like started to grow. We're like, at first I was like, oh, this is just something I'm like following up from college. But then we're like, if we're gonna do this for real, we're gonna need an office, we're gonna need a mailing address, we're gonna need a phone, we're gonna need staff, we're gonna like need to have a whole apparatus. And so the ball just kept rolling, and it's still rolling. And it's been 4 years now. 4 years of some not paid, some underpaid work that me and David and so many extraordinary volunteers have done over the last 4 years. And for those of you in the room who have known me over the past 4 years, it hasn't always been the easiest like challenge that I've taken on. But what motivates me to keep going and to be here tonight asking you all for money is that I see like a deep and profound need for this work. And first is that there are no organizations that help people file their administrative remedies in prison. Let alone an organization, I mean, there are lawyers here and there that do it, but let alone an organization that is completely informed by people who have actually used the process and know about the process for being in prison. And like you heard from our testimonials, and like we hear every day from the phone and the emails and the mail that we get, we have become the hope for literally thousands of people who have just found us by word of mouth. And we are providing them, hopefully, relief, and the more money we raise, the more relief we're going to be able to provide to these people. The thousands of stories that we've heard over the past couple of years are any indication of the conditions inside prisons in this country, then we are facing a tremendous and almost like unthinkable human rights crisis in prisons in this country. There are close to 2 million people in prison in this country who are experiencing, from what we know, torment, torture, abuse, like untold medical neglect. They're being maimed, they're being disabled, they're being killed, they're being left to die. And they're doing it with our tax money, and they're doing it in the name of justice, and there isn't a movement that is standing up against that. And that is beyond just helping people with their administrative remedies. That's what the Remedy Project is trying to do. We're trying to build a movement of students, of young people, and of folks like you who are challenging the really horrendous situation inside of our prisons, starting at the voices and the stories of people who are suffering right now. And yeah, I hope you all give money and join us. And you might be asking, like, okay, that all sounds great. What do you actually do? And I'm going to bring up some wonderful folks who we work with who are going to explain that. The first, we've got Stephen Negrone, who is, you can come up, who is a member of the Remedy Project, who we are currently assisting with his administrative remedies, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about working with us. And then we've got, you can come up, Ceci, Ria, and Mia. Can you come up? Who are three of our incredible student volunteers who have advocated for Stephen and who work within the organization, and they're going to tell you about what we actually do.
Bronx, New York. I'm currently housed in the Bronx Reentry Center, other known as the Halfway House. I was released, transferred there May 28, 2023. I got out early, good behavior. And it's like a program that helps you to readjust to society, that helps you get ID, medical insurance, a job. But if the staff really wanted to do their job, then all this could happen. But that's not the case. It's like basically BS. So shortly what happened with me was I was on this thing called home confinement. You got an anchor monitor, and you're allowed to go to work, you're allowed to stay at home. You know, you have to leave the house, you have to ask permission, stuff like that. So I was in a unique situation. I was home, and it was a snowstorm. And I was staying in my uncle's house. And during the snowstorm, I have a house that my late mom's, who passed away, left me and my sisters. And I seen it was snowing very heavy, and I said, walking distance. I said, you know what, let me go shovel snow at my mom's house and no one would fall. So as I'm shoveling, I go to shovel the snow where I keep the tools at. I noticed the lock was changed. So I'm trying to pry it open, and I guess someone called the cops on me. And the cops got there and asked me a million questions. I'm showing my ID. It's my mother's house, and long story short, I got arrested. It got cleared up. They threw it out. I was able to show that I'm the heir to the house. But when I got back to the halfway house, I told them what happened. And even when I got my own police station, I called and I said, listen, this is what's going on. It's already report Monday, I did that. So when I go over there, everything's, I go to work, come back, I get what they call an incident report. The incident report stated I escaped from the halfway house. I'm like, how could I escape? I'm here. I told them they wasn't looking for me. I told them I got arrested. So, long story short, I supposed to have a certain procedure. It's something they call your due process. You have to see a committee, so your rights, you see a DHO, which is a disciplinary hearing officer. None of that happened. I was taken, they took 40 days, a good time for me, for something I didn't do. So I reached out to my rabbi. And I explained to him what happened, and he introduced me to the Remedy Project and what they do. I got in contact with David, and he understood what happened, and we're still fighting for that right now. Once I got the remedy back from the project, I was kind of skeptical, so I read it. And I work in New Rochelle, and I read it. I thought it was pretty good. Then lunchtime I read it again, and it really hit me. And I had to read it one more time. And I said to myself, wow, I had attorneys that I paid a lot of money for. Didn't do the passionate work that these guys did, especially Ceci. You know, I'm inside on the half after the weekend, and I put the GPS, and I said, an hour and a half. I was like, what the F? over here, and I'm waiting to get in, and I see, guess who I meet? The first person I meet coming in, Ceci. But you don't understand how frustrating it is when someone is doing something to you, and because you have a felony, you got arrested, it's almost like you have no rights. It's too bad. You know, and this is an organization that made me feel like I have someone behind me. And gave me that confidence. And I really thank you guys.
Okay. Honestly, I just want to take a moment to take a deep breath because I feel like that was a lot. That meant a lot to me. That was the first time. I haven't met Steven. As you heard, we just met. I also haven't heard the testimonials that you heard from the TV, and that was also a lot to me because I hadn't heard those. Those are names I know. You know, I'm Ceci. I'm a junior at Barnard. I work with the Army Project. I worked here since last year. I worked over the summer. I came in every day. And the main thing I do is administrative revenue coordination. We call it the ARC team. So basically, I go into the office, I read the mail, I open it, I scan it in, I read it, I open the emails. So it's correspondence. I listen to the calls like those that we get in the office. I hear the phone rings, David answers, and I'm like, I'm too scared to answer. You answer. So we open the mail together. It's a crazy thing, right? Like, you're getting a piece of mail that is coming from someone, a person you don't know. It's from a federal prison, and you're reading it, and it's horrific. Let's be real, it's horrific. And I think that what I do in the ARC, right, is read this, but also, like, figure out a way to turn it into something that's powerful and humanizing. And I work with David. I owe everything to David. He taught me everything I know about how to write a remedy. It's hard. It's confusing. That's the point, though. That's the point, is that we as students have time to sit there and learn how to write a remedy and watch 11 one-hour each videos about how to write a remedy to advocate on people's behalf, like Stephen. But yeah, we lay it out there, and I think reading that mail, it's kind of hard to not be angry, to be empathetic, to feel that frustration that Stephen was talking about, and put it on paper and say, like, hey, this is really wrong. Like, even just laying out simple facts, you can see why it's wrong. So I think that, that's what we do at ARC. It's, read the mail, put it onto paper, write a remedy, send it out, and it's special work. It's really special to me. So I'm going to hand it off to Rhea, who's going to talk a little bit about campaign work that we do.
Okay, hi guys, my name is Rhea. I am the author of Stephen's story, and as Ceci just described, the ARC team is responsible for the more legal aspect of our work, and I'm on the campaigns team, and the responsibility of the campaigns team is to write a story about what's going on in these prisons, what's going on in the carceral state in general, and we write these stories, and our goal is to target them towards people who either don't know what's going on in prisons, or they know a little bit, but they're not completely aware of the injustices and discrepancies that are going on. And so we write these stories, and we reach out to anyone and everyone that we can in hopes to expose what's going on and disrupt the system. And to couple this, we also have action items where we write letters and emails and make phone calls to any stakeholder involved in the prisons, judges, senators, wardens, anyone involved who has somewhat of an ability to do something about this. So these items, these action items are available on our website. You guys should all check them out. So are the stories, including the story that I wrote for Stephen, that's all up there. And yeah, our job is really just to expose these injustices that we hear about and we don't fully know what's going on, but our goal is that over time, the more we expose them, the more aware that people are of these problems, we might be able to do something about it. And that's what we want to do.
One second, folks. I want to say something great here. Stephen, could you come and tell Ria personally, because you told me, could you tell Ria personally how you felt about the story when you read it? Real quick, 30 seconds, because we're going to...
No pressure. I didn't even know it was you that wrote that. I was taken back, obviously. You caught everything that happened. You know, it was almost like you wrote it, the same anger I was feeling, frustration, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, Ria.
This is the young lady that did the drawing on Stephen's story, right? So we got a lot of people involved, a lot of students, high schooler, is doing great work.
Who
Okay.
came here? Can I take this?
Yeah.
Me as a high schooler from my high school in Philadelphia, she came up here with her family for this event. You can buy some of her art at the work sale in prints or on tote bags, custom-made tote bags, including of this amazing picture of what happened to Stephen.
Okay, folks. So, yeah, so we're about to wrap it up. But this is my last plea to all of you, my new crew. Okay? So I got my personal warriors, right, who are fighting for the humanity of folks who are incarcerated, the humanity of all of us, right? Because people who are in prison used to be outside. Okay? Some of them you could argue all day belongs there, and I'm not going to disagree with you. And there are many of them who are there suffering through debt, pain, and all sorts of horrible stuff that I would argue do not belong in prisons, right? I believe that we in the United States of America have a mentality of slavery, of incarcerating people just because they have disabilities, mental issues, and or behavioral issues, and it needs to stop, right? And me and the team at the Remedy Project, we are fighting using the system against itself to expose it and undermine it for what it is doing. And if we want people to come out of prisons and act right and behave right and be successful citizens of the United States of America, we need to stop destroying them inside the prisons. And that is what we are about at the Remedy Project. That is what the students of the Remedy Project is about. That is the mission. That is the goal. And we are happy to have you guys on board this team. All of you who are funders, we have big funders in the house, and we have little funders. But we love you all because you all made this possible. You all made my dreams come true. And I love you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
All right, let's talk about some numbers, okay? That was really great, but now we're going to talk about some hard numbers. The Remedy Project has done, that's a QR code, but we're not there yet, okay? Michael, it's no waving away from it. The Remedy Project has fought 300 remedy cases since they started just 3.5 years ago, which is incredible. But as you can tell from the speeches, there's a lot of need in federal prisons right now. There's over 150,000 incarcerated Americans in federal prisons. And we can imagine that many of them are facing the need for remedy processes. And one of the things I have always loved about this organization since I met Anna and David is it's both very righteous, but it's also very sneaky. You know, it's like taking this system and twisting it and using it in a way that it doesn't expect. It doesn't expect organized people. It doesn't expect allies like all the allies in this room. So we are the ones who can help this grow. And I know you all came here because you plan to support and donate. And I want to start with a little game. So I want you all to think of the number of the money that you're going to get. Think about it in your head. Okay? Everyone think about the money they're going to get? Okay. So some of you is under $50, and that better mean you're a student. But if it's over $50, the ask from the fine folks at the Remedy Project tonight is to not give $50. is to make that a monthly sustaining gift. This is much more meaningful to them. So you can take your $50 and basically give $5 a month. That's actually $60. I know you can do the math, but still. Even $5 a month, it's better. And why is it better? One, it lets them know consistently they can count on this gift coming in month over month, not just boom and bust. It's really hard to plan for. If you work at a nonprofit, you know this. The other reason they want you to do it is you're probably going to forget to turn it off in a year. And so then you'll keep thinking, and you'll accidentally be just way past what you were thinking about justice right now. So I wanted to show hands if you want to share. Are there any sustaining monthly donors to the Remedy Project in this room right now? Okay. There's about 10. There's about 10 in the room. Thank you. We're very proud of you. Put your hands down. Our invitation to you is let's double the number of sustaining donors tonight, right now, before we turn over to the music. So this QR code is also on the note cards that are on all the tables. And Anna has a system that will tell her when one of these comes in. So if you have that number in your head and it's 50 or over, or even if you want to give $3 a month, it will still count. Let's get this in here. Let's make your sustaining donation right now. And when we get to 10, we'll move on to the next number. Okay, Anna's gonna let me know when they come in.
I get an email right when they come in.
Yeah, so here, I see some hands in the air, I see some QR codes coming. This is really great. They have the flyaway money emoji, they also went with the big money bag emoji. So these are your two options of amounts you can give. Yeah, all the postcards have a QR code. It's also remedyproj, PROJ.org. /donate. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you can get involved as these are coming in. So if you want to be involved and you're a student, there's chapters in a number of universities, including in Columbia. You can join that chapter.
Whoa.